My grandmother was a very strict and devout Catholic, and I was raised that way. I spent summers with her and went to Catholic church, and that was what I knew. That was where I developed my bond and my relationship with God. As I got older, I felt like I didn't really get as much from the Catholic Church. And then there was a good portion of my life where church wasn't a part of my life. I still had a strong relationship with God. I had that subconscious and conscious relationship and conversation on a regular basis, anywhere from speeding down the highway and passing up a state trooper and doing a quick prayer that you don't get pulled over, to just prayers and other aspects of my life, to even just checking in and saying, "Hey God, how are you doing?" And I've always been very optimistic and positive. And I had a great family life growing up. I had a great support group of friends. I have a great job. I have a great immediate family with my wife and kids. So a little bit over 10 years ago, I was introduced to Whitewater Crossing, and one of my close friends, who was my neighbor at the time, introduced me to Whitewater Crossing and asked for me to come. And my wife and I decided to come, and since then we really developed an increased bond. I've developed an increased bond with God, with the church. I got a lot more out of the church from additional friends, support groups. I feel that even though I felt like my life was full, that I was completely content and happy with the way my life was going, I never knew how much more I could get from something like a new relationship with church and an increased relationship with God. It kind of brings me back to remembering a story or a joke about a science professor who was teaching his class about volume, and he had this large cylinder and had it full of rocks, and asked the class if it was full, and the immediate answer was yes. He then took some gravel and smaller rocks and filled up more of the cylinder and said, "Is it full now?" Again, the immediate answer was yes. Then he took some sand and filled it up even more. Immediate answer was yes. And then lastly, he had a pitcher of beer and filled it up the rest of the way with beer, and said, "Class, now it's full." It just goes to show you there's always room for beer. And that even though you feel like your life might be full, you never know how much more room you have for God, for a better relationship, for additional friends and support, for renewing your faith, for any of those things and more. So my message that I'd like to convey is, even if everything seems to be going well and you seem like you have a full life, you never know what's out there. You never know what can make you better as a person. Take that next step. I know sometimes repetition can be viewed in a negative way, but I feel like just with coming to church on a weekly basis, with talking to close friends about my faith and about my spiritual growth, it puts it more present in mind, and it makes you think more about integrity, doing the right thing, helping out the community, being a better husband, being a better father, being a bit better community member, just anything like that, which I always get a lot of satisfaction out of, especially when I look back and just realize that I'm walking the path that I want to walk. I'm walking the path that I want my son to be, my daughter and my wife to be proud of that I'm walking.
That was great. We're done.
That's it?
That's it, yeah. Hey, Whitewater, it is stories like Joe's that keeps me going around here, knowing that I can make a difference in people's lives all around this area when they come and experience hope, sometimes for the first time, and getting connected to this community. So if you give and serve around here, you are making a difference. You are the Whitewater difference. So I'd encourage you to jump on the mobile app or catch somebody after the service and find ways to start making a difference. And people like Joe, now that they're here and they've experienced hope, the really cool thing is he's jumping in and giving financially, recurring even for the first time, and really experiencing the joy of making a difference in other people's lives. So join Joe, join me and my family, and let's start making a Whitewater difference around here and all around the country.